Viewers, the war in West Asia has now stretched beyond a week, and its spillover effects are beginning to impact global energy markets. Oil prices have surged, raising fears of further disruption to the global oil supply chain. Viewers, in view of the geopolitical disruptions affecting fuel supplies and constraints on LPG availability, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas has issued directives to oil refineries to increase LPG production and divert the additional output for domestic consumption. Viewers, the Petroleum Ministry has issued a notification under the Essential Commodities Act 1955. Priority sectors will receive full gas supply, including domestic PNG, CNG, fertilizer production, LPG production, and the tea industry. Viewers, the ministry has prioritized LPG supply for households and introduced a 25-day interbooking period to prevent hoarding and black marketing. Non-domestic LPG sourced through imports is now being prioritized for essential sectors such as hospitals and educational institutions. Viewers, the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mohan Yadav, has called an important state-level meeting in Bhopal to assess the potential impact of the international situation. Now, in view of the development, the Chief Minister has directed the Cabinet to convene a special review meeting. Meanwhile, the LPG crunch is beginning to affect the hospitality sector as well. Now, the LPG shortage has sparked fears in Jaipur, Chennai and Bengaluru. After Bengaluru, the Chennai Hostel Association has warned that hostels in the city could run out of commercial LPG within the next 1 or 2 days. Now, the restaurant bodies in Bengaluru have also sounded the alarm, saying thousands of eateries could be forced to suspend operation due to the shortage of commercial cooking gas. Now, viewers, the Bruhat Bengaluru Hotel Association has warned that many restaurants may have to shut down kitchens as early as tomorrow if supplies are not restored. Now, the association leaders have clarified that the closure would not be a strike but a forced shutdown due to supply disruption. Now, according to the association, most restaurants currently have enough commercial LPG stock to last only for about 24 hours. Now, hoteliers have also criticized the government for the lack of advance notice, saying a 15-day warning could have helped them manage their inventories. Now, viewers, here's what LPG distributors have to say. Take a look.
थोड़ा सा फ़र्क पड़ गया है, जिसमें अभी क्या बैकलॉग चल रहा है। कस्टमर पर जैसे कुछ रूल लगाए, अभी 25 डेज़ के बुकिंग नहीं हो पा रही है। पहले कस्टमर ये था कि एक महीने में 2 सिलेंडर ले लेता, आज बुक करा लिया तो कल मिल जाता था। अब 25 लोग लगने से कस्टमर इसलिए थोड़ा सा परेशानी हो रही है सर। और 7 डेज़ के बाद होम डिलीवरी हो पा रही है। कॉमर्शियल सिलेंडर पर अभी रोक लगा दी गई है, जैसे अभी क्या घरेलू को देखते हुए कि पूर्ति नहीं हो पाए तो क्या इसलिए उसको रोक दिया है। शादी ब्याह और रेस्टोरेंट सब में भी क्लोज है सर।
पब्लिक पैनिक हो रही है, खाड़ी देश में युद्ध चल रहा है, इस चक्कर में लोग सोच रहे हैं कि गैस नहीं आ रही, तो सभी लोग बुकिंग पर वो कर रहे हैं। तो सरकार ने भी इस चक्कर में 25 दिन का लॉक लगा दिया। जैसे आज सिलेंडर की डिलीवरी करी तो उसके 25 दिन बाद बुक होगा, जिससे कोई गैरकानूनी ढंग से सिलेंडर का उपयोग नहीं हो सके।
Viewers, right now I'm being joined by Karthik Malhotra, Executive Editor of News9. Now, Karthik, the announcement that has come in from the central government that they are going to ration the commercial use of the LPG. What more you can share?
Right. So, I think there are two aspects to this, Sabya. One is the commercial LPG cylinders and the other are the domestic LPG cylinders. Now, the government yesterday, in fact, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and the Minister himself, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, have both come out with statements suggesting that a 3-member body of executive directors of oil marketing companies is going to be constituted to look into the demand-supply mismatch when it comes to LPG cylinders. Now, of course, the hotels and the restaurants are pretty much up in arms, saying that the distributors are not letting them get access to LPG cylinders, which, of course, is the lifeline of the restaurant and hospitality and hotel business. I mean, how do you cook for your guests and how do you run your business if you don't have access to LPG? Now, the government in its own is in a way, sort of justified in saying that the first priority when it comes to the demand of LPG cylinders should be met for households, and households should not be in a position where they go without the LPG cylinders. So hence the government is pretty clear that the first priority will be given to households, and then of course, the 3-member body which has been constituted will look into the supply constraints and the kind of demand which comes from hotels and restaurants as well. Now, the 25-day gap which has been created is also primarily to ensure that there is no hoarding of LPG cylinders that happens. What happens is, in case this 25-day window was not made available, then people would go ahead and buy maybe, get access to 2 cylinders, 4 cylinders, 8 cylinders, take cylinders in multiple names in the same household, and really hoard that stock. Even at the distributor level, I think the fear really was about hoarding, because everybody knows with the conflict in West Asia, supply of gas is a challenge. So what stops distributors, for example, from just hoarding cylinders and giving them to end users at a higher rate? So I think to look into these matters is why that 3-member body has been created, to really assess how grave the situation is. As of now, I think the government has tried to assuage fears, saying that there isn't really a shortage. It's just that we are cognizant of the fact that there is a supply constraint, and hence the demand rationalization is something which the government is trying to do.
Well, Karthik, if you can speak about the consumer impact that will it have. Now, is there a possibility that the CNG or the PNG prices could rise in the coming weeks because of this crisis that we are seeing?
Right. So, the government has not categorically mentioned CNG as such. The government has said that that your petrol pump prices are not going to go up, which means your petrol and diesel prices will not go up. The understanding is that even CNG would be in that same energy basket. But specifically on LPG, again, the government has asked refiners to ramp up their production of LPG. And but again, the government is not really sounding the alarm right now on any shortage. Well, we know for a fact that for petrol and diesel, we had stockpile of about 25 days. And then when the US statement came, and even prior to that, our understanding is that India was continuing to buy oil from Russia. So that would have created a further buffer. Even on the aviation turbine fuel, which is used in aircraft, the government has come out and said that there is enough stock available, that there's going to be no shortage of ATF. And airlines can continue to fly, seamlessly. But specifically, I think on CNG and LPG, of course, gas is a bigger problem for India than petrol or diesel, simply because, we have a diversified source base, supply base of oil products, not as much when it comes to gas, because we have been largely dependent on the Strait of Hormuz. We have been dependent on both Iran as well as in large measure Kuwait when it comes to our gas supplies. But having said that, I think, your oil refineries are going to, and your energy refineries are being asked to work overtime to ensure that the priority becomes gas, and gas is made available. Now, we have seen a little bit of sticker shock when it comes to LPG cylinders. The prices for commercial as well as domestic use cylinders was taken up last week, and the prices did go up, by a few rupees. I think, if memory serves me right, it was about 14.5, 15 rupees for the 14.8 kg cylinder for domestic use, and about 30 rupees or so per cylinder when it comes to commercial use. As far as CNG is concerned, as far as petrol and diesel are concerned, I think the government has very categorically stated that there is not going to be any increase in the retail price of any of these commodities, even though the the fuel prices globally, the Brent prices globally right now are I mean, they've cooled off from yesterday, but overall, they are much higher than what they were before the conflict broke out in West Asia.
Well, Karthik, what can the consumers or the industries expect in the coming days if the geopolitical situation does not improve?
Well, I think, the question always boils down to how long is this war going to last? And I think, there are mixed signals which are coming from the US also on that front. So overnight, when Donald Trump was addressing the Republican House back in Florida, he did hint at the fact that the war could be coming to a halt sometime soon. But then his Truth Social post this morning said that if Iran continues to obstruct the flow of shipments from the Strait of Hormuz, then they're going to be hit 20 times harder. So I think the large question really is, how long is this war going to last? If it is just a few days, another few weeks, maybe up to another month or two, India should be okay, and hence consumers should be okay. But if this happens to be a prolonged war, if we see more retaliation from Iran, and if we see US continuing its aggression in cahoots with Israel on Iran, and if happens to be a long war, then obviously, chances are that India's sort of energy supply may sort of, get into slippery slope. But then again, you have the option of importing oil from Russia. When it comes to gas, the situation could end up becoming a little more dire.
Well, thank you so much, Karthik, for giving us more inputs. Now, viewers, the oil prices have surged, raising fears of further disruption to the global oil supply chain. Now, viewers, it's a ground. Let's look at this ground report filed by my colleague.
मिडल ईस्ट में चल रहे वॉर की वजह से मोरबी का जो सिरामिक उद्योग है वो हाल बंद होने की कगार पर है। धीरे धीरे जो सिरामिक यूनिट है वो शट डाउन होने शुरू हो गए। अभी तक 80 से ज़्यादा सिरामिक यूनिट है वो शट डाउन हो चुके हैं। देख सकते हैं किस तरह से जो मशीनरी है वो बंद की गई है और वर्कर्स को भी काम करने के लिए मना कर दिया गया है। लेकिन अभी जो प्रोपेन गैस है वो प्रोपेन गैस से चल रहे जो यूनिट है वो पूरी तरह से शट डाउन हो चुके हैं, क्योंकि जो हॉर्मुज स्ट्रेट है उसमें से ये प्रोपेन गैस मोरबी सिरामिक इंडस्ट्री तक पहुंचता था, लेकिन अभी वो रूट बंद होने की वजह से वो गैस यहाँ पर नहीं पहुंच रहा है। इसी वजह से ये प्रोडक्शन बंद करना ज़रूरी हो गया है। इसलिए आगे जाके भी जो नेचुरल गैस है, नेचुरल गैस जो सिरामिक यूनिट जो यूज़ कर रहे हैं उसको 15 तारीख तक चालू रह सकते हैं। उसके बाद में भी अभी जो वॉर चालू रहेगा और गैस की कटौती जारी रहेगी तो वो सब यूनिट भी बंद करना जरूरी होगा। हाल में जो लेबर्स है उसको भी सिरामिक जो ओनर्स है उन लोगों ने उसके लेबर को पूरा जीवन निर्वाह का जो जिम्मेदारी उठाई है और जो भी उसका खर्च हो, खाना पानी राशन या वो मेडिकल का, वो सब सिरामिक के ओनर्स है वो सब उसके लेबर को दे रहे हैं। लेकिन ज़्यादा देर तक, अभी ज़्यादा दिनों तक जो यही परिस्थिति रही तो परिस्थिति और भी बिगड़ सकती है और सिरामिक उद्योगों को करोड़ों रुपए का नुकसान भी हो सकता है।